Hello there and welcome back. It has been a little while. Hey, welcome back to Paula's Kitchen. Really glad to have you. You may recall we wrapped up season 1, our debut season, with a mix of savory and sweet recipes, some of my personal favorites. I am excited to welcome you back to season 2. We hope this is going to take us all the way through the holidays, fingers crossed. And this season, the theme is going to be by request. Recipes requested by you, our viewers. I'm really excited because for the most part, these are things I've never made. So we'll be exploring these together. First up, today we are making no fuss shepherd's pie.
Pie? Somebody say pie?
Yes, we had a request from one of our British viewers, and he was kind enough to even send me the recipe from BBC Good Food, which means I had to take a minute and convert all the quantities. So as I go through, I'll be doing the quantities in both British and American units so everybody can make this. All right, first up, let's talk ingredients. Ingredients. This is a traditional shepherd's pie, which means we're making it with ground lamb. If you can't get lamb or you're not a fan of lamb, you can certainly make it with ground beef as well. So the bottom layer of our pie is going to be the lamb. It's going to be flavored with an onion, some carrots, beef stock, Worcestershire, and tomato puree. It sounds great already. The top layer is going to be mashed potatoes. So we'll be mashing potatoes with some milk and butter. Yum. All right, you guys, let's get started. I have to admit, Dale and I are so jazzed about this. Shepherd's pie coming up. Well, hey, here we are in our work area. And of course, as with most things, a little bit of chopping is required. In our meat mixture, we're going to use 2 vegetables. We need a coarse chop on an onion and also some carrots. So I already started on the onion. I started with my bowl here. And again, this is not a finesse kind of a dish. This is a hearty dish. So I'm using big chops because Dale and I like onions anyway. So this is my favorite sweet onion, of course. And let me just get that done real quick. Put that bowl closer to me a little bit. And my last slice. And the thing about a sweet onion, I'm actually not tearing up. Yay! Okie doke. Throw that in. And we're so spoiled. We always buy those baby carrots these days. I actually, at the grocery store this morning, I bought real carrots. Imagine that. What a concept. All right, so let me get these guys chopped again, just a coarse chop on the carrots. I'm so looking forward to this. We both said when I brought that lamb home, we can't wait to smell it once it goes into the oven. It's something we love lamb, and it's not something we get very often. So let me finish up the carrots and we are going to start sauteing in a minute. Be right back. All right, guys, off camera, I cut up some potatoes and I just now put them on the boil because we're going to need mashed potatoes for our topping for the shepherd's pie. So let's talk quantities. The recipe called for 1 onion and 3 carrots. You already saw that. It calls for 900 grams of potatoes, and that translates to 2 pounds. So it was 6 good-sized red potatoes, 2 pounds worth. So let me get those going. Now, the next step is I need a tablespoon of oil, and let's get our frying pan going as well. I'm going to saute the vegetables for a little bit, and then we're going to add the lamb. So it calls for a tablespoon. I'll be precise and go ahead and put a tablespoon of oil in there. And I'm going to turn the oven on as well and get it preheating. So in Britain, it calls for 180 degrees, and for us, that translates to about 350. My favorite. So just get that going on 350. All right, we are going to swish this oil around a little bit and get the veggies going. And we don't actually want to brown these, we just want to sweat them a little bit. This already looks fun, doesn't it, with this coarse chop? I know we're really going to love this. So we'll let this go, maybe 5 minutes or so, just to sweat those vegetables, and then we're going to put our lamb in the pan and get that browning. All right, a few minutes went by and our veggies are softening up, and of course the house smells like frying onion, but already this looks terrific. So at this point, we crumble our lamb into the pan. This is beautiful fresh lamb that I just picked up at the grocery store this morning. It calls for 500 grams, and when you convert that to pounds, it's just over a pound. And our grocery store happens to sell lamb in 1 pound packages, so that works out really well. Super fresh. And we are going to brown this, and if there's any fat, which I doubt there's going to be, lamb is usually pretty lean, I will pour that off. I'm going to get that going. Meanwhile, my mashed potatoes are coming up to a boil as well, so I'll keep an eye on those. Alrighty, you guys. Hand washing time. I will be right back. Clean hands. Alright, let me stir the lamb in. And the recipe actually tells me to turn the fire up. It was sort of medium for the veggies, so I'm going to turn it up to medium-high for the lamb. Let me just fold this in with the vegetables and break up the chunks. What do you think, cameraman?
I love it. It smells great.
Yeah. This calls for a bit of a simmer on top of the stove and then a final bake in the oven. So we will be tortured with this smell for a little while, I think, today. We are pretending that it's autumn and this kind of a savory dish would be most welcome. In fact, it's probably 107 outside. We're not talking about that. All right, you guys, let me brown this and we will check back with you in a couple. About 10 minutes have gone by, so here we are. Let's take a look at our lamb. It has browned up nicely, and we actually do have some liquid that I want to drain off. So let me grab the lid, and we will just drain that off into this Pyrex bowl right here. We don't want any of that in our shepherd's pie. And then we're going to add 2 ingredients and saute it for a couple more minutes just to get the flavor going in our shepherd's pie filling. And the ingredients are the tomato puree and the Worcestershire. So, tomato puree, I need 2 tablespoons of that. This was the smallest can of puree that was available at our grocery store. I will have to find something else to do with the rest of this goodness. So I'm going to do 2 generous tablespoons of that. And then a generous dash of Worcestershire. So let me open that up, give it a shake. And there's no measurement in the recipe. So does that look generous to you, Mr. Cameraman?
Looks good.
I think so. All right. So it says mix and cook for just a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to pour in the beef stock. Wow, that puts a different slant on things, doesn't it? Smell-wise, once you add the tomato and the Worcestershire. Wow, that is building a flavor profile that I can get behind. Let's get rid of that guy. I'll measure out my 2 cups of stock. I just bought stock at the store. I know some people actually make stock, but not me. Now, I was reverting to my American measurement, the 2 cups. The recipe actually says 500 milliliters of beef stock. So, 2 cups, 500 milliliters. Pour that in. I'm going to cook that for a brief time, and then it has a simmer for 40 minutes on top of the stove. The first half of the simmer is covered, 20 minutes, and then the second half is uncovered to sweat off some of the juices. So we will be doing that shortly. Let me bring this to a boil, cook it to mix the flavors, and then I'll be back when we do the covering step. So all of our liquids have just started to come to a nice simmer, and it's at this point that I'm going to give it one more quick stir. And then I'm going to put the lid on, lower the heat, and I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to keep an eye on my potatoes because they're coming up on being soft, and I will be mashing them during this 40-minute break. So I'll turn this down, and we'll be back with you 20 minutes from now.
Is it pie? Is there pie in there? Somebody told me there was pie in there. Is there any pie? Is there any pie?
Durango, it's not real pie. It's shepherd's pie. Oh, for Pete's sake.
So there is no pie. There's no pumpkin pie. There's no apple pie. There's no cherry pie. Who ever heard of putting meat in a pie? You put meat on the grill. You just don't put meat in a pie. I can't believe you told me there was pie.
20 minutes. My timer just went off, and I have just stirred this a little bit every now and again while it was going. So now I'm going to remove the lid and continue simmering uncovered to let some of this juice cook off before we put it in the oven. Now, meanwhile, my potatoes finished, and I'm going to go ahead and make some mashed taters. Let me get started first just by hand. Again, this was about 2 pounds worth of potatoes. And then the recipe called for 85 grams of butter. I had to do my conversion on that. It's a little bit less than 1/4 pound, so I'm going to cut most of this 1/4 pound stick and put that in. That is way more butter than I normally put in mashed potatoes, but I'm going to follow the recipe, you guys. I'm going to do it like it tells me. So, one more slice. Okay, and then it also calls for 3 tablespoons of milk. And I'm going to mash these a little bit more by hand, and then I like to finish my mashed potatoes with a little hand mixer just to make them extra creamy. It's just a personal preference on the mashers. So let me just clean this off. I don't want to splatter my cameraman. Alrighty. And then I'll finish them off with my hand mixer. Now, I confess, these are a little drier than a mashed potato that I would serve for dinner, and I'm sure that's because they're actually going in the oven and going to be used as a more or less crust. So, all right, guys, we will be back in just about 20 minutes. We're going to put this together, and we'll be putting it in the oven. Alrighty, guys, moment of truth. 40 minutes total have gone by. 20 minutes with the lid on, 20 minutes with the lid off. Let's take a look at our filling for the shepherd's pie. It's turning into more of a gravy now the longer it cooks, and of course more of that evaporation is going to happen when it goes in the oven. So I've got myself a baking dish here, and let me just pour my filling into the dish. Get that in there. Believe me, Dale's been going nuts in this 40-minute interim. And he did have a teeny tiny taste of that lamb, didn't you?
Yes.
What'd you think? It was great.
Yeah.
All right. So that's done. Turn my fire off. Spread that around a little bit. And then I'm going to grab, oh my gosh, this is going to be, I say this about all the Paula's Kitchen recipes, but this is going to be a keeper. All right, grab my potatoes and let me, in fact, I'm going to set that down so I can use 2 hands because as I said, this is a little bit of a thick mash. So I want to spread it with my fingers. Make sure I get my filling covered all the way across the baking dish. And then the temperature, if you're in the UK, is 180 Celsius. Temperature for us is 350 Fahrenheit. And the bake time is about 20 or 25 minutes till these potatoes, which are making our shepherd's pie crust, till they start to turn light brown. Grab the last of these guys and spread this around a little bit longer. So I love this. They say put the mince in the baking dish and then put the mash on top of it. I love how Brits talk. It's just wonderful. And then it says spread it around with just the tines of a fork. So let me do that a little bit. And this is going in my preheated oven. I'll go longer rather than shorter. I'm going to set my timer for 25 minutes. Oh my gosh, really excited about this. What a dish this is going to be. All right, through the magic of YouTube video, 25 minutes is going to go by. Oh my goodness. So just as the recipe said, it's supposed to boil around the edges of the potatoes, and that's exactly what it's doing. Let me shut this oven off. Oh my Lord, hot in here. I made a side of some steamed green beans. This has to rest for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Dinner time. We'll see you then. Ladies and gentlemen, dinner is served. Look at this beautiful shepherd's pie, some steamed green beans, a glass of wine, my favorite fella. What else could a girl ask for? I can't wait to taste this and have Dale taste it as well. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, Paula. I'm gonna have a little sip. And let's give this a taste. It's too bad it's not real pie, so Durango could be in here, but I think this is gonna be unbelievable. I know it's hot.
You know what I'm gonna say about Durango? Beggars can't be choosers.
Oh, wow. That lamb and all those flavors together. Oh my gosh, it's just unbelievable. A lot of people don't like lamb, and you can do this with beef, but for us, it's outstanding. Perfect.
Yeah, let me say, 9 Fine Irishmen down at New York, they do it with beef.
Right.
Their shepherd's pie, and it's great. All right, folks, it's my turn. Wow, is that good? I don't even need to put salt and pepper on it. It is so really good. I need a bite potato. It made a gravy, which I knew it would. It's awesome. Superb. This is really, really good. Wonderful. What do you think, Mr. Dale? How was that for dinner?
I loved it. It was great. I mean, it was really great. Hearty, filled me up, and those flavors were just fantastic. I love lamb anyway. But
Yeah, I told you guys it was a hearty dish and definitely man approved.
yeah, absolutely. It was just so delicious, and just that little bit that we had was really enough.
It was.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to leftovers. I'm sure they're terrific. Listen, you guys, it is hotter than hot here, but I can imagine this on a chilly, wet day or a winter day. What a great dinner.
It would have been great.
Give it a try. Capture the recipe. I'm going to put it in the description box with both the British and the American measurements. Give it a try.
And one of these days, we're going to fulfill Durango Dale's wishes and make him a pie. I feel really bad about him today. He kind of left in a huff, didn't he?
Well, this is the by request season of Paula's Kitchen. The man did ask for pie.
Yeah,
we'll see what we can do.
All right, everybody. Hope you had a good time. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us.